So this video was completely generated by AI, and over this entire video, I'm going to not only talk about how to generate this video, but I'm also going to be talking about everything we know about talking face avatars at this point of time, especially in the papers and the tools that currently do it. And then I'm also going to be talking about a bunch of regulations that currently exist in the market for this. So it's probably around my thoughts and how to kind of generate a video like this. Let's hear it. By the way, this is a tongue twister, so I assume this was going to be hard for AI because this was hard for me, but AI did this very well.
Hey subscribers, if you must cross a coarse cross cow across a crowded cow crossing, cross the cross course cow across the crowded cow crossing carefully.
So the generation was very good, and let's get started now. Okay, so this is an interesting release. Synthesia released talking face avatars with expression. So previously they already had talking face avatars, but they did not have expressions in those videos. And this kind of comes after VASA-1. Microsoft announced a few weeks back that can take an image, an audio clip, and talk into a very realistic talking avatar. Now, not only can it, generate a talking avatar, it can add crazy amount of expressions, which wasn't possible before with the previous Synthesia models, right? So you look at this one, you would notice that there are literally no expressions, and you would realize that the video was generated by AI. But now, after the release of expressive avatars, it's possible, right? So let's first take a look at these videos and kind of understand why they really released it very quickly, right? Just after the announcement of this paper. Note that Microsoft at no point has currently released any sort of demo for this. They've just said that, and again, they've clearly mentioned they have no plans to release an online demo, API, or a product for this. And they are primarily focused on showing research work. And this kind of pushed Synthesia to kind of roll out this update, which I thought was further away in the future. Plus, adding these expressions and facial, moments are relatively complex from the standpoint of AI because they involve you to, or they require you to have heavy amount of computing in place. So regardless, let's take a look at some of the videos here by Microsoft on their VASA-1 paper. Let me just play the audio. So this is one of the samples here.
Have you ever had, maybe you're in that place right now where you want to turn your life around and somewhere deep in your soul, there could be some
You can see the expressions look very realistic.
Decisions that you have to make.
Even better than the previous version of Synthesia that we had first seen way back, right? I think I released a course in 2023, January, and that's when the initial version of Synthesia also came out, but they had literally no expressions. And like if you would share that video for even internal training, you would know that this was generated by AI to some extent. But then Microsoft, I think a few weeks back, announced this. And the reason why this is very good is not just because it can generate avatars like these.
Surprises me still.
But also it allows you to do things like, having different sort of eye gaze in place. So maybe the person is looking somewhere else where they're talking. So let's play this one.
I would say that we as readers are not meant to.
You can see all of these different generations have different direction of the eye. And then you would also be able to generate things from a different distance, right? So this is too far and this is too close. And then different emotions. You can see there are different emotions in each of the generation here. And it would also generate images that are not have been part of the training set in the past. So you can see things like this.
Yo, I'm a paparazzi. I don't.
Or maybe things like this.
I'm not surprised.
And also in different languages.
大哥今天请我来，可能不光是喝喝酒、吃吃饭。
So again, this was a very interesting paper. Very few covered it. Very few people covered it. I don't know why. But this apparently is able to generate 512 into 512 pixel video at 45 FPS, which is pretty good and standard. And it requires you to have RTX 4090 GPU, which is very good because you can do it locally. You can see the person is uploading the video and the face avatar and the audio, and then the result is generated like this. Now, this is their own internal tool. This is not publicly available. So let's kind of quickly take a look at how the tool also looks like. And post this, we'll look at what Synthesia has for us. Obviously, they skipped the time it took for them to generate the video, but it's very simple. Just a text, just the image file, the audio file, and then you would see something like this. Now let's go to Synthesia and see what they have been cooking. Now note that all of these tools are very, very, again, this looks very realistic. And before we even start thinking if this is legal, honestly, if you look at the recent EU regulations somewhere in March, I think 14th March, they announced that all of these things will require a step of approval. Now, if I'm looking at this video, there is no way for me to know if this was generated by AI or not. To me, this looks very, very realistic because the AI expressions are good. The person has a very realistic expressions, and you also have some background where a bunch of people are doing something, right? Now, obviously, there are use cases here where you would have training in place. Use cases in scenarios where you want to have internal trainings, you want to create demo videos and so on and so forth. But like, how long is this going to take before this becomes something like a way to manipulate the audience or create fake videos? So only recently, like if you've been a part of the elections, one of the videos went viral of, I think, the prime minister, where he is heard saying something that he didn't say. And that kind of manipulates how people look at the person, and then kind of, messes with the overall process of election or whatever is involved in that perspective or at that point of time. So this is obviously not going to be an easy rollout for the Synthesia team, I'd assume. At some point, the regulations are going to kick in. And even if you have transparent or invisible watermarks in place, I don't think that's going to make much impact, because for most people who are watching that video, they're not going to be bothering about taking that video, checking if it's generated by AI or not. This is the job of platforms, not just like the Synthesia here, but rather also platforms that are hosting all of this content. Now, YouTube, I think, took a step in this direction where they said all the AI generated content will be labeled as AI generated. But weirdly, companies like Instagram are, I think a couple of days back, something came out where Instagram seemed to be experimenting with talking face avatars of the creators, which is kind of against the whole regulation or whole realism side of the story, right? Anyway, so let's take a look at the demo of what Synthesia did, and also kind of go and try out the demo, because I think there is a free demo option here and we can upload an image and generate something. So let's play this.
I'm thrilled to present this today.
So the transition from old to new looks very, very realistic.
Thrilled to present this today. Yes, that's perfect. I am so pleased to see you've made it.
It really doesn't match our expectations.
Wow, team. This is unbelievable.
So they spoke about a bunch of use cases: internal training, product marketing, and even content creation. And while I would agree that this would have good use case for internal training, there could also be a darker side of this. So let's say, for example, if someone takes that video and then, or maybe someone has access to the system and creates a script without a review, which is something that the person shouldn't be saying, then this becomes a wrong thing to do. Then this goes for even content creation and for product marketing. So again, this could add like a very bad angle to even hacking. So at this point of time, hackers would just take access to your account and delete stuff. Maybe what happens in the future, you won't even know that your account has been hacked, and the person introduces things that you don't intend to post to the audience, right? There is a need to have guidelines or guardrails in place. And I think in the demo that we will be seeing in a couple of seconds, it's basically that you can take one of any of these avatars and then generate like a talking face based on the script you want to share with the model. So let's click on the free demo option here, and then you can see there are a bunch of different options. There's the sales pitch, the compliment, and then the Synthesia demo itself. So it seems that you can modify the script, but you can't change the avatars. So in a way, these are like handpicked avatars, and we probably still be able to add things like your own avatars, maybe in the paid version, but I think for the free version, you can't do that. So let's write a very simple script, which would typically be harder to say for a human. Let me think about what could that be. And then let's feed that in and then try generating the video. So I told Claude to generate a bunch of tongue twisters and it was able to generate. Now, first I'm going to be trying to read this, and what I'm going to do is then I'm going to feed the model to do this. And full disclaimer, I've tried to read this before I put it here, so I may do better than I would otherwise. Hey subscribers, if you must cross a course cross cow across a crowded cow crossing across the cross course cow across the crowded cow crossing carefully. Oh, that was hard to say, so let's try and generate the avatar. I hope, yeah, like I said, I'll still have to log in. Anyways, let me just put all of these details. Okay, so it seems the video will come via email. I don't know if they've rolled this out for all the users yet. I don't think so that's the case, because it says book a demo. It's not available to everyone, and I'm assuming that this takes crazy amount of computing power, primarily because you're literally now not just generating avatar, which would anyways take heavy amount of computing power, but it also kind of adds expressions. Now it's not very different from what we saw here, but you can see how low quality 45 fps video takes around I don't think there is time, any idea of time here, but it takes high end computing to do this sort of generation. So I would assume that this takes decent amount of time and also kind of costs you decent amount of money to run this. Yeah, so I checked the email. I don't see the AI video just yet, but you can see there's this thing where you need an approval and you will receive it within 5 to 10 minutes. This kind of reminds me of that Amazon video where Amazon posted this walkout video a couple of years back, but it turned out that there were a bunch of people in India, like 1,000 people, who were sitting in the background and looking at everything that was being checked out and manually putting all of that. So in a way, it was kind of I would say a fraud, because it seemed like it was all automatic, but that wasn't the case. There were people sitting in the background who were labeling each of these things, which was then charged to the user. So let's look at the video while we wait for our video. Yeah, apparently it also looks like they removed the technology, rightly so, because it's not that easy. I'm not directly able to find the video because obviously they took it down, but you can see a bunch of people here talking about it. And basically what was there in the video was that there was a store where a bunch of people were walking in. They were buying a bunch of grocery, and without any sort of checkout process or any sort of billing, they were just walking out and their credit cards were already charged while they walk out. Now, while this seemed all automatic and they made it seem automatic, it wasn't automatic. There were 1,000 people sitting here in India and labeling each of the items. And this is not, old news in tech. Actually, a lot of companies do this, and almost all the AI companies do this. So while it seems cutting edge and you would think that AI is automating things, eventually what is happening is that a lot of back-end fine-tuning is happening to train the model to do certain things. But having 1,000 people to label things is just bad for a company like Amazon. And I don't know why no one took that action, because it was kind of misleading for people who invested in the company, and kind of goes on to say that all of these things are not that easy and require you to have manpower in place even today. Also, while we wait for the video again, so TikTok also released a talking face avatars a few months back, where they took some of the samples that were released in the OpenAI Sora video and they converted them into the talking face avatars. So the fact that a bunch of companies are now capitalizing on this, there is probably something that we don't know from the regulation standpoint, right? Because mostly who should be impacted from all the regulations coming in place are these big companies. And if they are not being impacted, there's probably something that we don't know, because smaller startups get impacted every other day from these sort of regulations. But the fact that these companies are not, it basically appears that there is something that we probably don't know. So again, their videos were similar, where you would have a face and then you would have the audio, and then the video would also be generated. The whole architecture is here, and you can see this is one of the samples. We were good. And this one has expressions, as opposed to what Synthesia lacked earlier, and I think even today. So while they are showing a demo like this, the expressive avatars are only, I think, available for few of the customers at this point of time. So it looks like our video is ready, and it seems that it was approved. I'm going to click on video and let's play it. So it's a 10-second video, and this is the avatar. And you can see there's a note here, hi, yes, check out your AI video. Let's play this.
Hey subscribers, if you must cross a coarse cross cow across a crowded cow crossing, cross the cross course cow across the crowded cow crossing carefully.
Well, I wouldn't say this was bad. This was actually very cool. And the guy obviously did better than me. And it seemed very realistic. So let's play it again.
Hey subscribers, if you must cross a coarse cross cow across a crowded cow crossing, cross the cross course cow across the crowded cow crossing carefully.
Obviously, it does not seem completely natural, but it's not too bad. The generation I would say is better than what I had expected, and seems like they have a good product at hand. Like, unless they get hit by regulations, this is a very good product to get out there for a lot of use cases, even sales based, right? So if you're not aware of how cold reach outs work, you would typically drop an email to your end users. So first you would identify who you want to sell products, and then you would go on platforms like LinkedIn, use tools like Sales Navigator, and I think there were tools on these lines as well a couple of weeks back. Once you shortlist who you want to reach out, you would then take these avatars, or typically in a non-avatar word, you would type a message and expect the customer to reply. But let's say you're able to take avatars like these, have like a custom demo for how you can help their company. So generate like a high level demo with respect to how you can help that company, and then let the avatar talk it out. Maybe your face, let it talk it out, and then post that. You can do these reach outs in bulk, which are currently a huge pain to do, but again, they have their own set of value in place. But regardless, this is a very good generation, and if they're able to do it well, and it seems right now they have this step where they tell the customer to generate something. When the customer generates something, they let the AI do the generation, and then there's the review, and then you get the final video. So again, not a bad approach at this point of time. Obviously, you would want to have as many guardrails in place to avoid getting stuck in the regulation problems. So props to the team. I think this is great work. While a bunch of companies are working to release the paper, they actually released a product that works. So very, very cool. And I think that's going to be all for the video, guys. Thank you so much, and have good rest of the week and day. I'm probably going to post more videos, but anyways, have a good week.